The UFC is parting ways with USADA, and honestly, I could not be more thankful. The CEO of USADA came out with this statement, and he is so unbelievably salty, it's not even funny. He was like, "Oh, I feel so bad for all these fighters who depended on us. They needed us so bad in the UFC. It's all their fault. Now these poor fighters are gonna be thrown out to the wolves. It's such a travesty." Here's the fact of the matter: USADA is masquerading like they've cleaned up the sport. But at the same exact time, you've got guys like Kamaru Usman just walking around. Dana White knows it, all the fighters know it, and the public is becoming more and more aware of this every single day. I personally believe the UFC would be a lot better if they just got rid of drug testing, period. That's the only way to make it fair. Now, how on earth does that make it fair? Well, I am glad you asked. As we stand right now, the people who can get away with using the best PEDs are the ones with a lot of money and resources. If you have the funds, what you're going to do is you're going to hire a chemist. They're going to create you a designer steroid, a drug that does not exist, that there is no dossier to test for it, and it's completely undetectable because there's no drug test even looking for it. Now, without a doubt, that's the best method. Now, if you can't afford to do that, here's your strategy. You see, all PEDs have what's known as a detection window, the length of time after taking it in which it's detectable in your system. Now, a lot of times, this is only a day or two. So what an athlete would do is they would take it, they would inform USADA that they're traveling across the country, and it's going to take them this amount of time to get there. Even if USADA tests them as soon as they're finished traveling, as long as that detection window is up, that PED is not detectable in their system, yet they are still experiencing the effects of the steroid for up to a month. And this isn't even bringing up the strategy of using an IV to flush out your system after taking a PED. Look, obviously, this is all a very abbreviated, simple summary of how athletes do this. If you want to learn about all the small, finer details, just watch More Plates, More Dates. You'll learn everything you need there. The point I'm trying to make here is it really cheating for an athlete to use steroid? Because the reason they're doing it isn't to get an unfair advantage. They're doing it because they have no other choice. They know that tons of other athletes are using them. So why are they going to step in the cage with them, have a fist fight, put their body, their health, half of their paycheck on the line at such a severe disadvantage? And in the case of Conor McGregor, TJ Dillashaw, all USADA was doing was getting in the way. When you have such a catastrophic injury like both of them had and need to go under a serious reconstructive surgery, you have to get on HGH. You have no other choice. If you don't, the odds of not healing properly are so much astronomically higher. I have to imagine a big reason for the split was the UFC is trying to get Conor McGregor a fight, but USADA is trying to strong-arm them into making Conor wait all 6 months. And I understand they want to keep the integrity of the sport, but USADA, newsflash, there is no integrity in the sport. Many fighters are currently using PEDs, and you are helpless to stop them. That's the fact of the matter. So you want to make it a level playing field? Then just let people take whatever they want. At least that way, fighters making their UFC debut aren't going to be at such a massive disadvantage if they're fighting a veteran who's been around for a while, who has a team working with him to beat these tests. Now, I do genuinely think with time, we'll eventually get to a point where more people realize this and are for this, but as we stand right now, the general public, they're still ignorant to this whole world of PEDs, and the UFC would lose a lot of credibility to all these people if they didn't test. So what's most likely going to happen is the UFC is going to find another organization to do testing, but this time they're going to pick someone who they have more control over. That way, fighters can enter and leave the testing pool with a lot more freedom, and the UFC won't have to keep hitting these roadblocks like they are with USADA trying to get certain fighters to fight.